This is Wheeler Walker Jr. You're listening to the only music podcast that's worth a fucking shit. It's called Walking the Floor with Chris Shefflett.
I'm walking the floor over you.
Walking the floor.
I'm walking the floor. Walking the floor over you.
Hola, senors and senoritas. Welcome to Walking the Floor. I'm your host, Chris Shefflett, and this is episode 52. Brought to you this week, just like every week, by our good friends over there at Floyd's 99 Barbershops. Floyd's 99 Barbershops. It's the place to get your look tight and get your hair cut. Floyd's 99. Okay, I hate to bug everybody, but I just have to remind you right up front here at the top of the show. Please, if you like the show, we need you to subscribe in the iTunes store. It's important. It helps us keep our slot as the number one goddamn podcast in the world. Don't just listen in the feed. Subscribe, and if you really like it, leave a review. All that stuff helps. We need to get to the top of those iTunes charts, man. I look every week, we're like peeking out at number 20. We got to get up to number 1, baby. Come on, bring it. Subscribe in the iTunes store. It's been a busy week, and it's killing me to keep this one episode a week deadline. Now I remember why I switched to an episode every 2 weeks, but that said, I'm going to do it. I'm making it happen. It's Friday afternoon right now. It'll be Monday by the time you hear this, but I'm just grinding this out at the last minute and making it happen because I will keep to my once-a-week schedule. So check back in next week, and I'll show you, people of the internet. All right, let's talk about Zounds.com. Zounds.com. It is the place to get your music gear for all you budding musicians out there. Go to Zounds. They're real musicians. They're not salespeople. These are people that actually play. So whether you're, a lawyer looking for a Cowood PRS or a 16-year-old wanting to play punk rock on your Gibson, or maybe you want a Line 6 effect pedal or a boutique pedal, any kind of thing, just go to Zounds.com. They got it all. I shop there. You should shop there. The thing about Zounds is they have free shipping on every single order to the lower 48 states. So if you're up in Alaska, I can't help you there. But if you're anywhere else in the lower 48 states, there's no minimum purchase required and no exclusions. So get on over to Zounds.com and start picking, baby. Or whatever it is you play. I don't care. Just get to Zounds. Okay, let's do some interviewing.
Yeah, all right, man. More feeling, buddy.
Wheeler Walker Jr. declared war on mainstream Nashville country music earlier this year with the release of his debut record, Redneck Shit. Produced by Dave Cobb, the album features hit singles Fuck You Bitch and my personal fave, Eatin' Pussy, Kickin' Ass. Over the course of our interview, he makes a giant tour announcement, starts a beef with Margo Price, and explains to me the virtues of a pussy snorkel. So without further ado, let's get to it. My good friend, Wheeler Walker Jr. on Walking the Floor. Welcome to the show. I want to let you know before we get started here that this morning I was at home and I had your record on, and I was kind of working out my questions. I was getting ready to trying to vibe up for the interview, And I have one of those Sonos systems, so it was playing all through my house. And I was looking at my questions, kind of getting it all together. And my wife came home, and she went upstairs. She was changing. And I went upstairs to say goodbye, and your record basically started a fight between me and my wife.
I wish that was the first time I heard that story. I've been getting some of that. It's weird. I'm always so curious about, because there's so many women who love the record, but it's really split, man. Like a lot of women.
My wife is not one of them.
Not one. Yeah, she's on the probably the more sane side of things, but it's not. It's crazy to me that how much time I spent trying to make sure it was, that I made fun of men as much as women. I made sure I was the victim in all the songs, and it was like not misogynistic at all. And I still fucking failed. Like women still get pissed about it, and it bums me out because it's like a song like "Fuck You, Bitch." Like so many women have kind of told me, it's like my guy dumped me, and then "Fuck You, Bitch" got me through it. Because in their mind, it's like "Fuck you, dick."
Yeah.
It's like a, like when I listen to Imagine. It's not like I'm thinking about myself. I'm not thinking about Yoko. Like I'm thinking about my experiences in the song.
Right.
So in my head, it's like "Fuck You, Bitch" is not. It's just, I think there's some people who just can't get past the word "bitch" and it just throws them. And I don't. It's there. If you can't, it's not a big.
My wife
teach
almost,
their own. Yeah.
In my wife's criticism of your record, she almost just said your album title because she said something like, "I'm just not into all this redneck stuff." Or so. I was like, well, it's called Redneck Shit.
Well,
man. You kind of hit the nail on that.
Yeah. If you're not into redneck shit, this ain't the album for you. Especially when it's called that, and that's what the shit's about. But I appreciate that you dig it. It's cool, man. I've been a fan of you guys for and all your shit for a while. And I've been listening to on the way over here. I listened to that the one I love. I mean, I loved a lot of so many of the interviews, but that Steve Earle one was fucking great.
Yeah, he was great.
My favorite. He said something. I don't know if you remember it, but it stuck with me. I was gonna say it stuck with me. It stuck with me for hours because I just listened to it yesterday. But I'll be saying this for fucking the rest of my life. He was kind of hinting at like what pop country is and what country on the radio is, and he's like, it's kind of I don't know if you remember, but he was talking around about and he finally just said it.
Yeah,
he's like, it's hip hop for, it's rap for. He goes, and then he just blurted it out. He goes, it's rap for people who are scared of black people.
Right.
And that's totally, and I never thought about it.
I think I might have edited out the space, but I think when he said that, I was totally like, ugh.
But I thought about it, and I'm like, I think he's fucking right. Because when I was making the record especially, I didn't listen to any, like, that world of pop country and, mainstream. I just don't know it really.
Right.
But I started listening to it more now just to get pissed at him and rev myself up. But he's right. It's just these real, like, kind of, electronic beats. But it's not even like the new beats. It's from the 80s.
Right.
It's like, and it's really like kind of like almost like, for someone like me, I think the reason why that quote stuck with me so much is, I listen to NWA and I listen to fucking Snoop and Dr. Dre and Public Enemy and Ghetto Boys, and I love all that shit. So I don't need to listen to shitty rap. Like I listen to rap. I like it. So I don't know, that line really stuck with me, and I think he was onto something there because it really is.
I think he kind of nailed it. Yeah.
I think unfortunately he did kind of nail it.
Well, it's interesting that you said that you don't know that sort of modern country, bro country thing, because I've read, people have interpreted your album as being sort of a statement on bro country.
Well, what happened, and to be completely honest, was so I made the record, and I was like, I'd had some rough years in Nashville, say the least, which is why it took me 15 years to get one fucking record released. But, you come out, and I figured it would be my first, and I thought it would, and I could be still correct, that it would be my exit from Nashville. Once this was heard, I'm like, I paid Dave Cobb, the producer, I just paid him cash.
Right.
His players were going to make the most fucking country record of all time. And my goal was to make this record country as fuck, and make it the best country record of the year, and make it completely unplayable, which is not people's goal for records. But I was like, if I'm going to make the most country record of the year and make it unplayable, I'm just going to follow my guts and just do whatever the fuck I want. So to me, it was very freeing and like a way to get all my emotions. It's a very personal record.
Right.
Like all the shit I was dealing with. And it's like, if I'm paying for it myself, and since it's real country, it's not going to get played, so why censor anything?
Right.
And of course I went a little overboard, and we were sitting back listening to playback like, you want to change that? I was like, no one's going to fucking hear it anyway. I'm just going to, I want it as uncensored as possible to let the girl who dumped me or the guy who fucked with me, whatever it was, is just going to be, it's this real personal record.
Have you gotten feedback from the girl that dumped you?
Well,
the girls that dumped you?
A little bit, but keep in mind they blocked my number, so we don't really talk a lot. But to go back to your point, it was after it started the record started making its way around Nashville a lot before it was released, and a lot of people who's I won't name their names. They're like, "You're the guy," If you're a legit country guy who plays good, and there's guys out there's plenty of guys out there making good country, but you can't make fun of fucking Florida Georgia Line or Luke Bryan or whoever Sam Hunt, because and I get it, it's just in bad form, but they're all like, you're the fucking guy who's gonna. You've got the balls to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't give a...
We elect you. Go tell the world what we're all thinking.
Exactly. But I think it became clear from the record I don't give a fuck in the positive way. I'm like, fuck, let me sit down and listen to this shit. And if it was good, I wouldn't mind saying it's good.
Well, you kind of tapped into something that has been my experience, and I haven't spent a lot of time in Nashville or even around sort of mainstream country community or whatever. But there is like this inherent politeness in that scene. At least the people that I know that are sort of in and around that world they're really like helpful, kind, sort of gracious people.
Yeah,
is
no
that
one would.
Sort of part of it.
I think people. Well, I have a different view in Nashville. I'm from Kentucky, but most of my family is from Nashville. So my view, and this probably influenced the record a lot too, is my view of Nashville is so much different than anyone else's because it's more. I would go there, for Thanksgiving or for holidays and shit like that, or cousins' weddings or whatever it is. So I didn't know the music part of this, and I knew I wanted to move there because that's where you got to go to make country music. But I just didn't know that part of the scene, and I was so. And as you can tell from the record, there's a reason why I wasn't really, embraced by a Music Row. But I didn't know that part of Nashville, and so. It was more ignorance than anything. It was just like I thought this was the time in the studio that kind of got me hit me real hard was we were listening back to playback of "Fuck You, Bitch," which if you've gotten this far in the podcast lets you know what kind of record I'm at. And I was like, man, isn't that a shame? Like this is a real pretty song, and like I could hear this playing on the radio if I just cleaned up the lyrics. And everyone. Producers, the band, they all turned around at me and looked at me. And they're like, you heard country radio recently? And I was like, and the answer was, no, I hadn't. Like, they ain't playing this on country radio. I was like, well, even if you cleaned it up, I go, why?
Right.
And they go, because it's country music. And I was like, well, I'm fucked either way. So, like, yeah, keep it fuck you, bitch.
Well, it's funny with the success of the record. I mean, it's like, it's kind of all over the place now. And I imagine that all the people that you've sort of made fun of, I know you got like barred from Florida Georgia Line's
all
Twitter
those
account,
fuckers are blocking. They're not blocking me. They're blocking me from their Twitter and shit. But like, I take it as a badge of honor. It's not malicious. It's just like I don't know the dudes. They're probably nice dudes,
right? And
listen, I probably shouldn't have gone on radio and said that they jack each other off. That's probably not the coolest thing in the world. But I think their music, it's less that I hate their music, although I do hate their music. It's more that, why the fuck is that on? Why is that called country? It reminds me of, like you guys or something, like I remember a kid, it's like Nirvana's alternative and Hootie's rock and roll. It's like, fuck that. Nirvana's rock and roll. Hootie should be the alternative to rock and roll. That ain't be how it fucking works.
Yeah.
And they're not even calling, now the new thing is Americana, which no one will call my album Americana because it's so. And the feedback I got from country people who I really like was like, everyone was like, it's country as fuck. That's which is to me the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
So no, I'm being punished for making country music, and and I take it as a compliment. Like I love country music, and I'm the enemy now because I'm playing like. You fucker, you're playing,
But do you think all those bands like that you make fun of, do you think that now because your album's been successful that they're going to start biting your style a little bit?
I would fuck.
They're going to come back to it?
There's no fucking way. And I'll tell you the truth again, I don't want to name names because behind this asshole is a nice guy, and I don't want to ruin anybody's career. But there have been some big guys who've said that they're fans. So I'm like, yeah, fucking tell people you're fans of mine. But they won't, their audience is so they're scared to talk about me, you know?
Right.
Like, I know big people who sell millions of records who I've heard either directly or through people I know, like, they love your record. It's like, well, then tell people. But they can't tell people because what if it loses 5% of their fucking profit margin? You know, like, an agent yells at me, you know, like, so-and-so, if you're... Because if you look at my iTunes reviews, which I actually is a new passion of mine, the reviews are exactly how the fuck I want them. Because my whole thing, everything I do, I don't want anything in the middle. There was 200 something reviews, and it was like, of those 200 reviews, I think on iTunes you can do 1 through 5 stars. I would say 6 of them are 2, 3, or 4. It's all 5 stars.
Yeah,
this is the best shit I ever heard in my life, or 1 star. This is not what country music is. This is the worst shit I've ever... Like, he should literally be arrested.
Right.
And he's going to hell for making this fucking music, which is the whole point, you know? Like,
you need more of those reviews. Those are the good
Those are the
reviews,
ones that sell. Yeah. But there's nobody in between. It's just like you love it and you hate it, which is the biggest compliment you can give me, because it's just 5-1, like the best, the worst.
It's interesting, you know, like you had mentioned Dave Cobb, who produced the record, and he's produced a lot of great records in recent years. You know, Sturgill Simpson, Jason Isbell, Chris Stapleton, your record, and although those are all different sounding records, there's a common thread there, pulling from a more classic country sound on pretty much all those records. And I keep wondering if that's going to reflect back on mainstream country. Doesn't seem like it has yet.
I think it will. The Stapleton thing is so big right now that probably will. But, you know, again, to go back to Nirvana, it was like, you know, that was, you know, I remember it was like, this is going to change everything.
Right.
All it did was lead to a bunch of shitty bands, you know. It didn't open the door for anybody. Right. You know, I think he produced...
There's always like 1 or 2 great
there's a couple
bands
that got
of a
through.
genre or a sound, and then it's a bunch of copycats.
But I remember he produced like a Meat Puppets record that didn't do shit, and then some guy in Nickelback breaks through. You know, it's like that kind of shit. Those guys who are ripping him off.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to make fucking jack shit difference, and I think that these people want, like, back to Steve Earle, whose quote I'm going to use for the rest of my life, I think they just want this kind of watered down white hip hop, and I like I said, I love hip hop, but I want to listen to the real shit, and I'm not going to listen to that garbage. And also my thing too is, like I've been telling people, it's 2016. Why the fuck do I gotta censor myself? And especially if they ain't gonna play it anyway.
Right.
You know, like I said, Outlaw Country on Sirius have been playing it, and that's really it. You know, like.
You don't have to censor yourself here in this room.
Well, yeah. Well,
we won't beep anything you say.
I was going to say...
We just won't be able to sell any advertising for it, and that's fine.
If you have, then... Well, I had an idea for advertising, and we're still trying to figure this out. Someone showed me this product, and it exists. It's a fucking pussy snorkel. Have you seen this?
No.
Neither had I. I'd never heard of it. So a real company makes a fucking pussy snorkel. It's like, you have problems breathing while you're eating pussy, and of course.
Oh, okay. I even misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you meant like it was a snorkel shaped like a pussy, but
no.
You mean it's a snorkel
and they're like, you
pussy.
got problems. Do you have issues breathing while you're eating pussy? And of course, the answer is no. But you need to make. And they're it's fucking dude. He's got this fucking snorkel hanging out. It's like, and he's smiling like, you know, it's almost like a don't eat pussy without the pussy. So I wanted to go to them and get like an official Wheeler Walker Jr. pussy snorkel to sell on my website. We're seeing what can happen, but you know, like, because I can't get any fucking, you know, I'll not sell out, but I'll sell fucking anything if I can get some cash. And I was like, we're getting turned down by everybody. Why not just?
If you're getting turned down by the pussy snorkel company,
we haven't got turned.
Tough.
We haven't got. Yeah, cocaine happened, but we haven't gotten turned down yet. But I wanted to sell, and that's back to the marketing of the record, which there wasn't much of. You know, a lot of the times these guys, like, you know, Sturgill's record right now is on NPR as a preview. You can listen to it on NPR, and that, like, people are previewing their albums on NPR. And like I told my people is just two dumb fucks, but like, we're not going to be able to play, you know, preview this anywhere. I go, why not just call up fucking Pornhub and see if they'll preview the record on the porn site? And we called them up, and they're like, fucking sure.
Really?
So my album was the first album ever to premiere on a porn site. like
Amazing.
I think a few 100,000 people. Listen, don't get me wrong. A lot of people didn't go to Pornhub that day to listen to country music. They were there to
Sure.
whack off.
Yeah.
But it still got I think it was. I bet more people listened to it there than if on NPR.
Something tells me. I was going to say something tells me the Pornhub gets a lot more traffic.
Well, they
than
told me
NPR.
they're like, because you talk to these people, they're like, NPR, you can get 300,000 people a week. We talked to Pornhub, they're like, yeah, we get about 250 million a day. I was like, what's that? It's like, well, who's your traffic? He's like, every male on Earth. I was like, well, that sounds like a good market. We should probably break into that.
That's pretty much who you're playing to. Yeah.
I'll break into that market.
Yeah.
So even if it was less than 1%, it was still a huge amount of people. But just thinking outside, you got to think outside the box, when you're doing a record like this. So I'm just like, and then we premiered a video there too. It's just like, having fun with the marketing is also kind of fun.
It's interesting to see an actual word of mouth record because, like you said, you can't really get real mainstream exposure with it because of the lyrical content. But it has really, it's like you don't see that too often nowadays. So like an actual word of mouth.
Well, yeah, it's cool you say that, and thanks. I mean, I didn't know if that was still possible. And listen, Adele's safe. I ain't getting near her numbers. It's nothing close to that.
Is.
But although I did do an interview before the album came out, I promised I was going to outsell her. I'd like to make a amendment to that. We didn't get as close.
You came close.
We came close to what she's going to sell during this podcast. But at the time, and no one believes me on this either, I didn't think it was that fucking dirty. Because it's no dirtier than like a stand-up album or a hip-hop album or even some like hard rock shit. But I think it's because it's in this genre that people hadn't... I know there's people have done this shit before. I've opened up a couple shows for David Allan Coe, who's obviously done this shit before, although I didn't use the N-word. But he, to me, a lot of people are just like, this is how people talk. And that's what pissed me off when I get angry. Is like, so I'm getting in trouble for singing like people. Isn't that what country music was supposed to be?
Sure.
I understand why Hank didn't sing like this, because that's not what you did back then.
Yeah.
But now you got YouTube and satellite radio. Like, why fucking censor myself? Well, you censor yourself to get on the radio, to make money, to get the fucking Budweiser tour. And if it ain't happening, just fuck it. Just make the record you want to make.
Right.
And
Let's talk about that a little bit. How did you make the record you wanted to make? How did you wind up connecting with Dave Cobb, who, like I mentioned, has produced all these great records?
Well, I was in Nashville, and his name had come up a couple times, and luckily we met before Stapleton shit, before, when I could afford, I was just like, I'm sick of dealing with labels. I'm sick of dealing with all this shit. Like, just give me a number that I'm going to pay, and I'm going to leave, because I want to own my masters. I'll give you, I don't want to get into the business of it, but I'll give you a check. I'm going to leave with the album, and I want to own it so no one can fucking tell me what to do with it.
Yeah.
And he gave me a number, and I fucking cleaned out my bank account, and I did some I know I don't like throwing names around, but like I'd ask Sturgill, and he's like, yeah, the quote he gave me was, he don't give a fuck, which is the highest comp, he's not going to be worried about the content. I mean, I try not to go around using, I don't want people to lose people's fans by, saying that, Dave Cobb does a lot of real serious, mainstream shit, but he was just into it, and we were like, for this price, I'll be broke after, but I can afford it. And then the goal was put it out and then kind of retire, because there was nowhere for my career to go. And apparently there's an audience for real country with a guy who doesn't censor himself, to say the least.
It's always fascinating to me because every time something comes out that draws from, on the older eras of country music, there's clearly such a thirst for it out there. People are starved for it.
Well, that's what Cobb's so good about, I think, is that he does it, but he does it doesn't sound retro to me. It sounds of the time, especially like the last album he did with Sturgill. I'm only saying that because he did. I don't think he did Sturgill's new record, which I heard it's fucking great.
Yeah.
But it sounds modern, but it doesn't. but it's using the old stuff. It doesn't sound like that's not something I want to do. I don't have a band that dresses up in like 50s outfits and doing like it's not that.
Right. You don't drive to the gig on your Bob Wills bus with everybody in matching outfits.
Exactly. I Uber it. I'm the first Uber cowboy. So I'm but he just really gets. And again, I haven't been there for his other records, but it's just kind of like whatever. He just kind of starts from scratch with each artist, like what will work for him. And this is the way we worked. It was Thanksgiving in Nashville, and all my family, Kentucky family was there, and my Nashville family was there. It's like I got 5 days around Thanksgiving, and I'm like, well, I ain't doing shit because it'd be nice to get out of the house and not have to talk to my fucking aunt about cheese for 3 hours, and we'll just fucking bang it out. And we did it less than 5 days, I think.
Seriously?
Yeah,
the whole record?
We did the whole fucking record, and we had time with time to spare too. And then
did you track it live?
We tracked it live. We did a little, and then we had 3 days for overdubs because I wanted to do just easier because I know all the harmony parts. It's just like I'll just do the harmony parts myself.
Yeah.
And so we had 3 days for overdubs, and the first day we did almost all of it. Second day we just kind of sat around, and listened back to some of it. What the fuck, man? You know who you got here?
Oh my God, look at that. Who knew that when you have your phone turned off and you get an Amber Alert?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, somebody's getting kidnapped somewhere. So
yeah, I'm glad that we're right on top of it, too.
Yeah.
Let's pretend.
If anybody out there listening sees a 2015 black Honda Accord, you're going to be probably a couple weeks late because I don't know when I'm posting this.
This may be my last podcast as a free man. That's my car. Anyway, let's pretend like we took a 3-hour break.
There you go.
To find the guy.
Yeah.
And we just started back.
Yeah, we're heroes, man.
Yeah.
We are heroes.
We found him. So, and then like the last day we were like doing overdubs, and we didn't do much overdubs, and we're listening back to the record, and we're like, I think we're done. Let's go to the guitar to Carter's the vintage instrument store out there. Let's just go to the guitar store and dick around, and then come back, and then we spent like 6 hours at the guitar store, and then we came back looking at equipment and shit, and came back and was like, I think we're done. I was like, yeah, I don't want to sing anymore. So it was that fucking easy, and we were there's only 11 songs on the record. We did 5, I think.
So you had all that stuff written, finished,
oh yeah, I went
done and dusted.
Because when it's, and I think more musicians should do that. When it's your money, you go in there fucking prepared. Like I was like, because I went in there like, you should see my lyrics for it. It's like there's 8 extra verses.
Right.
There's like an extra chorus. There's like another like if you want to go into middle 8, I got the lyrics for because I knew I didn't have time if we wanted to like go off on something.
Couldn't sit there and look for inspiration.
I couldn't look for lyrics. Like I wrote like each lyric sheet. The original ones are fucking 3 pages just in case I needed extra. So I was so over-prepared that we just kind of, it's really first and second takes on everything.
Well, who played on it? Who were the musicians?
This guy, Leroy Powell, played guitar and pedal steel, not at the same time. Because we were going to call this guy, I forget his name. I'd never met him because we never called him. It's like, Leroy is a killer guitar player, and he...
Are these guys old school cats, though?
They're old school, but, not that. They played with Shooter, and they played with... I'm trying to think who Leroy's played with. He plays on a lot of Dave's stuff. He played on Sturgill's first record. Played with Shooter Jennings for years. He played with he played on Waylon's last record, but I think Waylon was they kind of Shooter and them kind of did some stuff. But because I went back, I'm getting sidetracked. But I went back and we did this record release show at Exit In, and I wanted to play this Waylon song I love, Outlaw Shit, which is. Don't you think this outlaw bit's done got out of hand? He redid it later with just Outlaw Shit, and I wanted to play Outlaw Shit. And I asked Leroy if he knew it. He's like, I fucking played on it.
Huh.
But there's 2 answers. He did play on it, and he didn't know it because he couldn't fucking... I guess he was fucked up while he played it, so he had to learn it. It didn't help any. That I actually got the real fucking guy playing it.
Right.
Anyway, so
Leroy...
that's
the thing about recording, though. It's like you come up with something in 10 minutes when you're making a record, and then you never play that song live. It's like, how are you going to
Well, I remember he was like, I think I remember this song. I think I've heard it. It's like, yeah, you fucking heard it. You fucking played it. But anyway, so Leroy's a killer player, and he plays on a lot of that stuff in Nashville. And his brother Chris, who killer drummer, and he... I don't know if he's still Jamie Johnson's drummer, but he was for a while. And he was both back to Shooter and, you know, all the Cobb stuff he plays on. And this other guy, Brian, who's kind of the same. All three of those guys played on Sturgill's, were the band for Sturgill's first record.
Oh, okay.
So and they go back. Cobb really started the country thing, I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but I'm pretty sure it was Shooter when he first started doing really heavy into country.
Yeah, yeah.
And those were kind of his guys, and he's just like, I got the guys, and he's like, Leroy can play pedal steel, but if we need, there's this guy who plays pedal steel for us who was in the Highwaymen, and we were gonna call him, and Leroy's pedal steel sounds so fucking good. It's just like, I don't want to pay for this, the big bucks for this guy. I'm sure he's fucking great, but Leroy sounded great. So there was so little thought put into it. You know, it was like the thought was ahead of time. You know? So yeah, I mean, to me, what I love about the playing on the record and why they're so great, it's like, to me, they're the best players in Nashville, but it's not the go-to Nashville guys. So it doesn't sound like everything. Though they're a little off, you know. And that's the thing I noticed about Dave and all these players. We kind of have very similar kind of upbringing, which is from the South. Country music's everywhere. But then you leave it and you go listen to fucking Zeppelin and you go to rock, you know, because the dumb shits at school who are listening to, you know, I got friends in low place and you're like, fuck you, I want to listen to Ramones and, you know, Sex Pistols and, you know, whatever, punk shit and Zeppelin and, you know, hard rock and then you come back to country. You're like, man, this Waylon shit holds up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny. All these guys had it's almost the exact same trajectory as me, which is Southern boys who are like, you grew up with country around, and you leave it, and you come back. It's like, well, this is more me this is more rock and roll than fucking. And like I used to make fun of Skinner, who's not, you know, Southern rock, but like you go back and listen to it, it's like it's not that different than Soundgarden, you know, in a lot of ways. It's just riffs, and he's got a little more of an accent, but it's the same fucking shit. But you can't listen to Skinner in high school because I mean, you can, but the crowd I hung out with when you're playing fucking, you know, more punk shit, it's like they're the enemy. But then you listen to Skinner later. It's like,
that's at that time in your life when you have to reject that stuff.
Exactly. Then you listen to Skinner later. It's like, motherfuck, this. I would have loved this in high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You know, and in Kentucky, you know, it's like when you're in the South, you draw these lines, which is not really fair. Like, oh, these are the rednecks who listen to Skinner,
sure,
with the Confederate flag on their car and on their pickup, and I don't want to be part of that. Then you listen to it, it's like, I think I like them better than Pearl Jam. You know, like,
right.
Oh, you know, you go back to it, so it's kind of in your blood, and then, you know,
can't escape it.
Yeah, and I would go to, you know, and I never really like, I'd go to my aunt's house in Nashville and like. Literally, Crystal Gale sitting there at her house, just because in the old days in Nashville, no one country stars was just, they were just around. Now it was before Nashville became this fucking the coolest place to live. This was a dump, and you would just know country people. And like I had an uncle who kind of lived near Waylon. I knew like
really,
but it wasn't that
they were just kind of around.
People just around. It's almost it wasn't. There were no paparazzi and shit because apparently there's a lot of that shit now. I mean,
sure.
I don't know. They ain't following me around, but. It was before all that shit, so you would just walk around and they're like, look, it's you know, it's Waylon or fucking you know, my mom grew up not far from Chet Atkins, but she never even told me. I didn't even fucking know. But it's not a huge city, so you're around those people.
Sure, yeah, it makes sense.
So, you know, coming back to Nashville, you know, I thought I'd come, you know, when I moved there, I was like, you know, I'm gonna be the next fucking Garth Brooks. And then I was trying to fit into that and it just didn't fucking work. And then after all these years, I'm just sometimes when you just say fuck it and just do the album you want to make, I guess I'm not really good at teaching lessons, but that's apparently I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck.
And that's the thing that people respond to.
That's what they responded
to.
So
were the guys that played on your record, were they, you know, they're like kind of seasoned players, session guys around town, were they like, how stoked were they to get to play like on a country record that sounded like country music?
They were fucking great, man. I've done a couple shows since. We're gonna do a tour soon, but we got to work out the details. But I played a couple shows in Nashville with them. They look fucking I think at first they were a little wary, like, is this the last time I'm ever gonna play in that? You know,
right?
But the more they got into it, it's like, you know, and the stuff they play on is good, and a lot of probably great shit, but just like. after a lot of like real kind of sappy, depressing shit, it was a fucking blast for them to play on this kind of crazy, this fucking Maniacs record, and it was cool. They had my goal was with Chris, the drummer. I tried to. That's a lot of the funnier shit is me trying to like get him to fuck up on drums, which he never fucking did.
Right.
He lost it at the end of a couple songs, started laughing, but a lot of it's just me kind of riffing and trying to get him to laugh. So it was just a blast to make it, and the fact that it's funny because a lot of anger went into and fucking anger, frustration shit went into the record, and a lot of anger and frustration and pissed offness after it came out. But during it was a blast, like making the record was so much fun because I didn't have to, you put yourself into the songs, but like after that it was just sticking around and
it's just getting a good take.
Yeah, just getting
having
a good
fun
take.
with your friends.
And Dave plays guitar on it, so he actually, I only played my acoustic, for a couple songs.
Is he the one playing all those leads and stuff on there?
No, that's Leroy on the lead, but
okay.
with Dave playing acoustic, I'm like, I can spend more time on my vocals.
Right.
If I don't need two acoustics, so
sure.
I played on a couple songs, but well, just to give you an example of how he works, which is what I love is "Fuck You, Bitch." I'll use that example again to lose some listeners. Is there's this shit more than me. There's a mic, there's if you're playing live with an acoustic and you got an acoustic mic, that's a condenser mic so the vocals don't pick up the acoustic. So we switch back and forth if I was playing or not, different vocal mics, and we cut "Fuck You, Bitch," and we had the wrong mic, so the acoustic's bleeding it into the vocal mic, and we listen back to it and but we can't mix my acoustic with my vocals because they're on the same track,
right? And
they're like, we thought for a sec, I was like, maybe we gotta do it again because we can't mix it.
Yeah.
And Dave's like, it sounds fucking killer to me. I don't know what we got to do it again for. And I listened to it. Sounds fucking great. I mean, that track is the mic that's on the acoustic is off. The acoustic guitar is just coming through my vocal. And
that right there, what you just touched on is one of the great joys of recording. It's the happy accidents.
Totally. But it wasn't, it was just like most people would do another take as a safety, to have if we need to mix the acoustic up and down, we can do it. It's like, sounds good, let's go. And I had this guy mix it, and we listened to a few mixes, and I was about to kind of get into more details, and we're just like, man, some of my favorite records, the mixes are so wonky and sound so. I mean, I think, look, don't get me wrong, the mix I think is fucking killer, but why? If it fucking rocks, fucking put it out.
It's real easy to overthink all that stuff.
And he's really great at not overthinking it. It was just like, let's go fucking, let's just do it. And I was, I get, that's a good example of just like, we fucked up the mics. Who cares?
Yeah,
sounds
whatever.
Good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your songwriting. Let's talk about your songwriting process. Actually, how do you write your songs? What do you do?
Well, it starts with the music for me. Well, you mean when I was trying to write my fucking shitty pop shit that no one bought? That was different. That was me trying to make something that I thought could sell. This was just me dicking around and trying to come up with a cool melody.
But are you walking around with your notepad, jotting down little lines all the time, or do you just do you write all the time? Do you write in spurts? What do you do?
I write in spurts, but I'm always thinking about shit. I remember I was the title track, which back to date, which I thought maybe shouldn't be on the album. I was like, it's a little too out there, and he's like, no, it's gonna kick ass. Just trust me, and I trusted him, and it did. But I was walking around, just walking to meet a buddy for a beer, and I thought what if there's a song called Redneck Shit, and I was just all the crazy redneck, the cliche redneck shit that people who aren't from where I'm from think we do.
Right.
And I just started, and I grabbed my phone, and I just started typing in all this shit, and all the craziest, fucking your cat kind of shit you could think of. And I was like, it's easy to rhyme that shit. Then you just put it down, and I had the lick already. So usually it's me trying to find a melody, and then what I've noticed is when by the way, thank you so much for asking me about my songwriting, because no one gives it. All my questions are, why are you so fucking dirty? So to actually talk seriously about crazy shit like that makes me feel like a real musician.
There you go.
And it makes me feel good. But usually what I'm trying to do is just think of something catchy and hooky, but my brain is crazy, so it comes out my initial thoughts is, fighting, fucking, farting, or, beer, weed, cooch. So that's why I think people are also kind of into the record, is where most people would take that and go, the mumbling that you do with the first song, you're just cussing and all that shit. I just kept it like that.
Yeah.
Whereas most people would say, okay, let's figure out the clean,
Yeah.
love you, girl, and change that, or, so I just kind of, whatever, I don't want to say I just spit it out and that's the lyrics, but, it's kind of, I tried to do with this record my first kind of thoughts of like,
First thought, best thought.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I was thinking about back to, my early days about, because I don't want to say I was depressed, but, I was depressed. So I was thinking back to the early days, it was so much fun, the old days, drinking beer, smoking weed, getting chicks. And I started coming up with this kind of, this kind of country song, singing like, I started singing beer, weed, pussy, and honky tonk music. I'm like, that don't rhyme, but there's no rhyming dictionary for dirty words. So I'm just like, honky tonk music. I like cooches can fit, I'll make that. I can rhyme and I can move my mouth enough to make that work. So it's just like, the fact, I think people get surprised because they read the lyrics and they're like, these are the dumbest fucking lyrics I've ever fucking heard. But I put so much fucking thought into it. Yeah. That's what pisses. I don't really get pissed anymore, but I do gotta get pissed. Like, I spent so much time on these lyrics to make them sound like I wrote them in
Right. Right.
But to make music that is, and I don't want to say I didn't spend time on the lyrics as much as it's just like structuring my first thought into just like a way I could sing it. And I think, I don't know if we said this on the podcast before we were talking, the goal was to make the best country record of the year and make it completely unplayable. I think, did I say that before? Or I said it before the podcast?
I think it might have been before the podcast.
All right, cool. So I got on the podcast.
There you go.
But that was the goal. It's like, I'm going to make the best fucking, and it's not the best country record of the year. Sturgill's album's coming out, and Stapleton's record, or maybe that came out. Whatever.
It's up there. It's in the mix.
I appreciate that. It's not for me to judge, but it's better than most of the fucking shit I heard. But what if it's that fucking good, and like you can't deny the fucking catchiness and the melodies, and it's real fucking honky tonk music, and it's not really retro. It's just me talking about what's going on in my life now, uncensored, and play it real. I just want to see the reaction to people. Like, that's all I give a shit. I didn't give a fuck. So I think that's coming through to people, is that they don't give a shit. I think people like to, after all this fucking dog shit pop country, it's nice for them maybe to hear a guy who literally don't, like, I guess literally don't give a shit wouldn't be the word, because that would be literal shit. But like, he actually doesn't care about record sales. He doesn't care about any of this shit.
Right.
Like, this, you don't make a record like this. By the way, for the podcast listeners, I keep pointing at the record when I talk about the record, which is not something you need to do on a podcast.
That's true. But for people listening, it is I would like to say you did bring me a beautiful vinyl edition of it with that
I'm hoping,
great cover.
So what I did, like, that's why I wish I had more money. Maybe the next. So one of my ideas was we were going to do this guy at the record, not the record plant at the studio, but this guy who worked at a record plant who made my records. He was showing me this. They can do this load shot vinyl, so it would look like a guy like fucking jizzed on the actual vinyl. And he showed it to me, and my jaw, I was like, that's the fucking vinyl. Colored jizz shot vinyl. Yeah.
It's going to be like a double record concept album.
Exactly. So he showed it to me. I'm like, that's fucking it. And he told me the price, and I'm paying for it. And once he tells me the price, I'm like, these people, fuck you. It's like,
why is the jizz so expensive?
Exactly.
Sir?
Like, I got to make a record good enough that people are going to jizz on themselves, because like, I don't have the money for this fucking colored jizz vinyl. So I maybe if we sell enough records, I'll do a special, load shot edition or something like that. But
beautiful.
But that's kind of the stuff. To me, the music's so serious, but I'm not dumb. Like, I'm not putting out a song, a song like the one you were talking about before we started, or at the beginning, Family Tree. To me, that's still a classic country song at its core, which is, I'm dating this girl, and she's dumped me, but I like her sister more. I'm with this chick, but the girl I really like was her sister, which has really happened to me. So I start singing, you dumped me, but fuck you, your sister's the one I want. And then, of course, my fucked up brain starts going, you know what, fuck you. I'd rather fuck your uncle than you. And then, you know what, I'd rather fucking lick your fucking dad's asshole than you. And then I just go crazy, and any normal human wouldn't have let me fucking record that. But I found the right guys who will let me do it. So as crazy as it is, and that's about as dirty as this country song can get, there is real shit behind it. It just goes fucking wacko.
It begs the question, have you ever written a song? Were there any songs that you wrote for this record that you were like, that's a little too out there, I can't put that one on there. That's a little too heavy. That lyrical content gets a little too gnarly for this.
Yeah, well, the one, for reasons I don't know, I decided... Well, I didn't want to do any racist shit, but I never wrote any of that stuff.
Right, yeah.
But I just said I'm not going to say cunt. So I had a song called Shave Your Cunt. But it wasn't like, like a guy yelling at a girl like, yo, girl, shave your... It was like, I'll trim my balls if you shave your cunt. It was like a song. But I thought that just the title, Shave Your Cunt, would give the wrong impression. Like
C-word does not go over big with the ladies.
Exactly.
I've learned that one a few times.
And let's be honest here. That's probably what made me think more. Is like, I got to get laid. So, like, I can't put fucking cunt on the record. So
is there a Mrs. Wheeler Walker Jr.?
There's an ex.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And what does she think of this?
She's not a fan. I just leave it at that. I don't want to bring her into it too much, but...
Well, do you get groupies and stuff showing up? Like, what's a Wheeler
Walker Jr.
groupie looking like?
I was telling you before, we're trying to put a tour together.
Yeah.
So... whatever's happening with the record, it's happening while I'm sitting in my fucking house. So I don't really know. They're calling now. Like, there's gigs and people want to see you play. And I fucking hope so. Because I signed up for this fucking thing. I got people around me, like, you got to do this fucking social media shit, which all I try and avoid. They're like, Twitter, fucking Instagram, all this shit. It's like, and there's this thing, Snapchat. I was like, what's Snapchat? And they're like, oh, it's a thing where people send you fucking pics. But the cool thing is people send you tits. And I'm like, fucking sign me up for that shit. I want to see fucking tits. So I sign up for Snapchat. And the first thing I fucking do is I just make a video, show me your tits. I got fucking 200 fucking pictures of nuts, maybe another 150 fucking dicks, asshole. Like, I've maybe seen 6 fucking tits on. Right. I got lied to. And I'm starting to get a couple more, tits. But it's mainly, these dudes love showing me their fucking dicks. And it's not, I don't even think they're gay. I think it's just like to appreciate, as my appreciation for how much I enjoy this record, here's my fucking nuts.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you're listening, you're doing that, I get it. Stop sending that shit to me. I'm not against it, but I don't need to fucking see it. Grab your fucking lady friend, take a picture of fucking her tits.
It was designed for tits.
That's what I was told,
shots,
but all I got is fucking dicks.
Yeah.
Well, and more than anything, I'm getting, and guys fucking squeezing their balls and just like, but they're with their girl. They're not gay guys. Some may be gay, but for the most part, I think it's just dudes. And I think it's almost like the new thing, instead of just like tipping their hat, they're tipping their nuts or something. It's like, it's a new, like, I respect what you're doing. Here's my fucking balls.
This is the thing that freaks me out. I have 3 boys at home, and my oldest just hit middle school this year. Oh, wow. So we got him a cell phone. That's the age.
That's the big thing,
that you get the cell phone. And he's just bugging us to get, I want an Instagram. I want Instagram. All my friends are on Instagram. And when I hear things like what you're talking about, because I actually said this to him and it confused him, but I think it's good advice. I said, I'm going to give this thing to you. Don't give me a reason to take it away. I go, you got to remember, you take one picture of your dick and send it to your friends or whoever and put that on the internet, and that's out there for the rest of your life. Yeah.
And if you're going up to a girl and saying you got a big dick, and there's a fucking picture out there of you,
and you
can't lie anymore.
And think about it. Think about when you were 12 years old. If you had the technical,
I would have had nothing but
ability.
Pictures.
Yeah,
I would have sat in my fucking room all day taking pictures of my dick.
Exactly.
But now I know. Yeah, but I have a couple of my friends too. It's like, no. Well, the thing is, I take pictures of my dick, but I don't put my face in it. I was like, wow, real fucking morals. Like, you can still not fucking know it's your dick. Shut up. But kids are doing this shit. It's fucking like, a girl. Let's see, even the girls I got, like, sending me their tits, and I love looking at nice looking tits, but there's something weird. Like, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Like, something's wrong if you're just saying. By the way, I don't want to discourage people from doing it.
Yeah, we want to encourage.
But I'd like to discourage the nuts. But it's a fucking crazy. It's just the world we grew up in is fucking changed. I mean, like,
oh yeah.
When I was a kid, I could, remember those MTV shows used to have like the beach and shit like that?
Oh yeah.
And the girls in the beach, I could whack off to that. Nowadays, you can go on these porn sites and see shit that I didn't even know was possible.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So this kind of
when you managed to get your hands on like a Hustler when I was a kid, like that was like.
There was a rumor.
That shit
I remember
around.
being in Kentucky, and there was a rumor. A buddy of mine had a Playboy. We just fucking walked over to his house. Like, we just started knocking on the door. Like, hey, you want to hang out?
To us
well, no,
now.
we pretended like we were just. Hey, I know we never hung out with you before, but you want to go just hang out?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. What do you want to do? I was like, well, hang out in your bedroom, see what's under your bed. You know,
where do you
it's
keep that Playboy?
He's starting to see, but you're looking for friends. He started passing it around. But yeah, it's the kind of world I grew up in. It goes back to the music too. I just don't know what's going on. Like, when I hear this, what Steve Earle calls this, white rap, I don't really understand, and that's why I go so crazy. I've been blocked by all these fucking, and maybe I should think about it more when I say fucking Sam Hunt sucks or Florida Georgia Line can suck my dick. Whatever I say on Twitter and all these Facebook, whatever the fuck it is. But then I'm thinking, why should I? That's what I'm going to say anyway. I mean, they're starting to block me now, and I think people kind of dig it. I mean, I'm not trying to be Mr. Bad Guy, but if the whole background of the record was me not censoring myself, I may as well do it in all facets.
Anytime that there's somebody just kind of bursts onto the scene, I don't believe in overnight sensation. There's no such thing as an overnight. You were somewhere working on your craft, for years. So where have you been?
Well, it's funny,
all
people.
These years?
Someone was telling me about that. What's the book with the the 10,000 hours?
Right.
With the thing. So
Yeah.
they're like, well, you just did it in one. I was like, I started playing guitar and writing songs when I was 14. All right, so I've probably, like, according to that book, I'm the biggest fuck up of all time. Like, I put in like 100,000 hours, which means I may be the least talented person on planet Earth. They're like, of course, to someone else buying the record, they're like, man, he just came. If you like it, you're just like, man, just out of nowhere, he writes 11 great songs. Like,
right.
Oh, motherfucker, I wrote 25,000 songs, and they fucking sucked. And maybe some of them were good, but, it wasn't like the day before I didn't make some studio time, grab a guitar.
I better write some songs.
And like, how's this thing work? Let me figure it out. It's like, I've been busting my ass for it just doesn't work. As you know, it doesn't work like that. The problem is there is overnight sensations for the shit we're talking about, because all it is a face.
Right.
The guys who made this, dog, say what you will about the fucking actual musicians, but they certainly put in their 10,000 hours making shit.
And some.
But the guy on the front of the cover, he's been in music for he started getting into music about noon, because he had nice pecs and like had a good looking face. And we'll put you on the cover of this shit. So those are the people who I think should take this shit. Don't give me this shit. And the real, and I haven't gotten that. I mean, the shit I've gotten has been like, people blocking me or talking. The only shit I really get is a lot of people, this is country music. Country music is sacred and you can't curse on it. This is, if I wanted to listen, the thing I hear a lot, speaking of, is if I wanted to listen to music like this, if I wanted to listen to lyrics like this, I'd listen to rap. And there's a hidden meaning behind a statement like that, and we both know what it is. But and they're the ones selling the record, because they're going around, who's this fucking ass? This fucking guy's,
Well, it's like when, it's like in the 80s when they started putting those parental advisory stickers. It's like, well, that's the one that everyone's going to want to go get.
It was funny. The first time, like I said, I listened to all kinds of music. The first time I heard Danzig, me and my buddy walked into the record store, and my buddy goes to the guy, the clerk in Kentucky, he goes, you got any albums with skulls on the cover? He's like, I don't know. He just looks on the rack and he sees a skull, and we just buy fucking, oh, cool, skull, we buy it.
Yeah.
It could have been anything. We look on listening. fucking rocks, you know, like it just accidentally.
Oh, that was like most records I bought when I was a kid are like, whoa, that band looks insane. I'm gonna get that.
Well, the guy said he's like, looking at the song titles, he might be singing about Satan, and I'm like, well, then we'll buy two of them. Yeah. Then let me buy 2 on cassette and 1 on fucking record, you know. So, and that's kind of the fun I'm having with it is people saying it ain't real country because I'm cursing, but I'm playing more real country. That's what, you know, puts their mind, you know, fucks with their mind. It's like, it's more country than almost all the shit that's out there. And they're pissed that I'm using this why can't I use the language on this album?
Why do we all pretend to be outraged by that now? I mean, it's
exactly.
Like,
but they really,
who cares?
By the way, they aren't, for the comments, they ain't pretending. They're really outraged. Right. These people are fucking pissed.
Well, I mean, but do you feel vindicated? I was looking at your Twitter feed earlier, and so like, does this make you, you know, does this sort of like vindicate you when you get a review in the New Yorker that says you won't hear a better country album this year, and if you do, I'll cut my dick off? It's got to make you feel good, like you're doing something right.
I got a secret to tell you. That's not a real review. So that's my new thing, because no mainstream places have reviewed it.
Right.
So I just started putting quotes on my Twitter, like, you know, I think quote, put the record on, I couldn't stop jizzing, Wall Street Journal. You know, like I just started making up quotes because no one will fucking review the shit. So, and I don't know why because it's just as, I don't know, maybe I'm up my own ass, which I'm sure I am, but I don't know why it's any less valid than, I mean, you don't make a record like this unless you are, but why is it any less valid than any other country record out there? Because, you know, it was on the comedy charts too, because, you know, Billboard thinks it's comedy. And it is, listen, I think all good music has elements of comedy in it.
Sure.
It's fighting fucking farting. I'm not stupid. Like, it wasn't like, you know, why aren't you taking that song more seriously? But there's, like I said, there's truth behind all that shit. I've been in fights. I like to fuck, and sometimes I fucking fart, you know, like, and plus it was 3 F's and it rhymed, but it just pisses me off that people are taking it as well, I guess there's both sides. Some people are taking it too seriously, and some people are taking it, you know, as a joke, you know, I'm starting to find the people in the middle who just kind of get it. And there's people, and you were saying before podcast, there's just such a hunger for this type of music. It's almost like, oh fuck, this guy made this kind of music, but I gotta listen to it at a 2 on the volume because I can't have anyone here. Like, they want to hear
my kids walk in the room, I'm gonna be in trouble.
I've heard a lot of kids, you know, just like, I love your record, but it sucks to have a record I can only play after I put the kids to bed. Yeah. But I'd love that, you know. Yeah. It's add some danger to it, you know. Yeah, sure. You can't play it everywhere. And you know, it's kind of been cool, and people like you know, musicians I love who are into it. That's the shit I care about, you know. Like, I don't give a fuck if the programmer from some fucking, you know, Clear Channel doesn't like it. I care if other musicians like it. Yeah, sure. And even that, if they didn't, I still wouldn't give a fuck. But
it's hipper if those people don't like it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, back to the iTunes thing. I mean, like, every album on the country charts on iTunes, they're all 5 stars because everyone who buys it fucking loves it because it's with Florida Georgia Line. You know what you're getting: a bunch of fucking dog shit with, you know, 80s hip hop beats and some fucking asshole rapping about his fucking truck and you know, and beer or whatever the fuck. And I think my you know, I don't know what the average was, but it's 3 point. They do it with points. It's like there's a lot of fucking hate on there. Yeah, I was like, it's what it should be. Yeah, you know, it's like that. It's
getting the conversation started.
Exactly. If I made a record that everybody liked, I'd be fucking pissed. Who wants to make a record that everybody fucking likes? You know, like, going back to Sturgill's new record, you know, I think there's probably going to be a segment of people who are going to be like, you know, it's too rock here, and there's too much electric guitar. I was like, perfect, you know. Yeah. Do what the fuck you want.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I love it.
There's a guy that just seems like he's following his, you know, his whatever, his muse or inspiration, whatever he wants to.
Totally, and he doesn't give a shit. I mean, who knows? Maybe he does give a shit, but it's just, you know, it's so sincere and so real, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, what these other fuckers are singing about. There's nothing there for me to listen. And I get how there's people.
It's not part of anybody's actual day-to-day life experience.
You mean beer in the headlights is not something you deal with a lot?
I guess I can.
What does that even mean, beer in the headlights?
I
mean, I know that beer sounds like deer,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's
Right,
all
right,
it
right.
fucking is. But, you just got to put your ass on the line and say, you know what, I got to have to buckle up and have a van and not a bus, and I'm going to have to, watch the, I'm banned from Walmart, as you can probably guess, banned from pretty much all the chains. We got a website where you can buy it from in iTunes and Amazon. Other than that, like, you got a real, like, I get a lot of people like, I've been to every record store in town, like, I just can't find it. It's like, they're not caring,
Yeah.
So you got to watch the budget on the record because you're not going to sell, Sam Hunt numbers.
Well,
so
you,
if you know
you
that
talked
going,
about touring. Is that what's coming up next for you? Are you
Yeah,
going to
well,
take this thing out on the road?
well, that's the thing is we're going to have a giant tour announcement. And by the way, the giant tour announcement, I guess, just happened. That was it. But
Here it is. You're going on tour.
Exactly. Well, the thing was, I said I wasn't going to do it because I was like, I just didn't. I'm no spring chicken. I don't feel like getting in the van. But apparently there's people who want to see it, and if there's people who want to see it, and if there's clubs calling up, that's the thing that pisses me off too. Is like, we're getting these offers. It's like, my people call me up. They're like, we got a killer fucking offer in Indiana. Like, it's so much money we can break even. I was like, Jesus, that's what it's
Let's
come
wait
to.
till it's so much money that we make money.
Yeah, how about it's so much money I make $5? But
Yeah.
in music, that's actually pretty good. Maybe sell some
Totally.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
So, like, because I threatened them, what I said was, and I had to put my foot in my mouth, and I was like, ain't going on the road because I lost all my money on the record. Didn't lose it. I mean, hopefully I'll make it back, but I blew out my bank account on the record. I'm like, I don't have the money. I can't go on the road and lose money.
Right.
So, and if I lose money, the tour ain't fucking happening. And then they called up and was like, we got a way for you to break even because there's an audience there. And like I said, I got to put my money where my mouth is. And maybe that's not the way to phrase it. I got to put my dick where your mouth is. No.
Got to put your ass where your mouth is.
I got to put my ass where her mouth. No, I got to just, like, that's what I said. I said, I'm going to do it when we can not lose money. So this summer we're gonna, like I said, we'll do.
I swear to God, I'm pretty sure that I remember 10 or 15 years ago, Dave saying exactly that to our manager.
What's that?
That I'm not going on the road until it's not going to lose us a bunch of money.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And next thing you know, we start turning a profit.
Yeah, but that's the thing people don't understand is like, you go, most of these bands you see are losing money. Like, a band's expensive, and like you see, especially country, a lot of these people have these giant bands, and like, fiddle players and like 2-pedal steels and a keyboard and guitar. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
you got to sell a lot of fucking
That
tickets
ain't
to
cheap.
make your
Pedal steel guy ain't cheap, man.
Yeah, like we were talking about that before too. It's like we should have taped the pre-podcast, but like any kids listening right now, you like country music, learn to fucking pedal steel. You'll play the rest of your fucking
You will
life.
always have a gig.
Yeah, like
And drums, too. I think drums are the other one.
I think
If you're
drums.
a good drummer, gig for life.
Yeah,
Guitar players, diamond dozen.
Because I'm looking.
Good luck to you.
Because I can't afford the guys who did my record. Oh, I'd love to tour with them, but I'm trying to find musicians now. We were talking about that. See if you had any, but they got to be killer. But I also can't go fucking. I can't pay them more than me. I mean, I can't. I probably will,
Right.
to tell you the truth. But I want, I also don't want to play a show with the fucking some asshole from the Guitar Center, and people go, man, the record's great, but live it's got to be a killer show, or there's no point in doing it. So maybe, like I said, there's a way to break even and find the right players.
It's funny. I was watching Margo Price. Have you heard her record?
Yeah.
I saw her on SNL like a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And I was noticing that her band, because she plays like a real kind of classic country sound, and her band all appeared to be pretty young dudes, and they were holding it down.
Yeah, how'd
like
they do?
They sound like seasoned good, like pedal steel players and stuff.
I like that Margo Price record because I like anything that's getting played that's real country. But I was watching it, and this is where my anger comes from, is someone sent me a Billboard article about how her album charted so high and how many albums she sold the first week. and I think it's great. But I sold more.
Really?
Yeah, I sold my debut. They said it was, again. It's a credit to her and it's great shit. But they said she was the first female to have a top 10 country record, but not have a single even in the top 100. And they said, and because her album, I think her album debuted number 10 on the country charts. Well, I sold 30% more records, and I'm not trying to make a competition,
Right.
but I am, I guess, because I have low self-esteem. And Wheeler Walker Jr. did it too, but that didn't really count. He's a guy, and he debuted at number 9 in the Billboard country charts, and he sold a couple thousand more records opening week. But and I want to end that part of the conversation on a positive note. I'm at home because I wanted to watch her because I wanted to see some real country music on national TV, and it was almost encouraged. Like now she trust me, she sold a lot more records than me now. But that week she's on SNL and she sold less records than me, which I was trying to use as a way, like maybe there's a chance, maybe there is an audience for this shit and for what she's doing,
Yeah, sure.
So
Did you just start a beef with Margo Price on this podcast?
No, that's what I was worried I was going to start with, because it's funny you say that, because she follows me on Twitter and I just sent her a direct message saying I love the record. So it had nothing to do with that.
Sure.
It had more to do with what I'm trying to say is it has more to do with Nashville, which is that Nashville had a headline on Billboard saying how great her record did.
Right.
But they wouldn't make one for me when I did something similar weeks before, because as I said, there's a lot of country musicians who kind of dig my shit, but Music Row is literally scared. I mean, part of it is that it's so dirty. Part of it is that I've released it myself. It's on my own. 30 Tires distributing, but it's my own label. And they don't want you, and they're, don't get me wrong, they're pissed at her. She's on Third Man. They're not happy about that either.
Oh, right.
So they want you to be, more than anything, we're in the same boat. She just, she's smarter and is not putting fucking dick and shit and pissing everywhere, so she can actually play places. But I just stepped on my fucking water. But more than anything, it was more like they couldn't deny her a little bit. Like it made me happy to see that once it gets out there and she's playing SNL and it's selling, they couldn't fucking deny it anymore.
Right.
With me, they are ignoring it. It's like the business side, the other. I've literally not done one interview on country music radio.
Right.
Period.
Right.
There's not one country. I've done a few rock stations because they like having me on because I rip on pop dog shit country, and they can't make fun of that, the dog shit country radio stations, because it's owned by the same company.
Right.
And it's their boss.
Yeah.
So they love having me on, rip it on. It's and they tell their boss, I couldn't,
I couldn't shut them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm literally just being ignored by, Music Row. And, by the way, and the people I love, Jason Isbell and, Jamie and Sturgill, Sturgill wasn't played on country radio. That's just, like you said, people loving that kind of music and passing it around, putting it on the internet and kind of, he probably gets played on Outlaw Country, but listen, you tell me the radio station that's playing Sturgill, I'll listen to it. But there ain't one out there. It's
you almost get the feeling that it's more like rock people that have embraced.
Well, and I think the reason why is because it's like these, I got the best players in Nashville. And it sounds like real fucking. And at some point, you're kind of like, what's the difference between rock and? In some ways, Elvis was just kind of right in the middle of the two.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
And I always find it bullshit when they're like, by the way, isn't it cool that the guy who made this fucking stupid ass record can talk this intelligently about music? That's why I'm blowing people away. Behind this asshole is a fucking smart dude. But there's this thing that people say where it was like, there was white hillbilly music and there was the black blues. And they came together to form rock and roll, but the two are separate. And I find that complete fucking bullshit. Yeah, on the shit we're listening to, that's pure white music. But Waylon and, there's so much black influence in that music. The shit I like. It's not white music and black music. Waylon's
Sure.
got a fucking groove to it, and that ain't
in a big way.
that ain't fucking white music. You know, that's not pure
Stiff,
fucking down the
on
line.
the 1 and the 3. Yeah.
Like there's not like those two mesh in country as well.
Yeah.
Like there's these 2 compilations came out really good, country funk.
Yes,
you
I know
had those?
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
And it's cool ass shit, and it sounds fucking country to me. And I mean, Willie and Dolly and all them are on it, and it's just it kind of shows you that it's almost like country now is a new rock and roll in some ways if you're really playing it, because it's I don't see that much of a difference in it in some way. I mean, you listen to our album, you know it's country, but the Stones are they wrote Wild Horses for Graham Parsons.
sure.
They went through their country phase.
But that's actually how I got to country music. I mean, I went through the Stones and
that's
back into Elvis.
Well,
and then what was going on there, and then that led me to like Johnny Cash and Hank Williams stuff.
Yeah, I mean, mine wasn't that much, except that we grew up in different places, so I had the beginnings of it. We were talking about that Steve Earle interview you did earlier. I think that his I Feel Alright album was the one. I think that was the album that got me back into country, because I was listening to so much rock at the time, and a buddy of mine gave me that record. I was like, this is kind of more rocking than the shit I'm listening to. But, they weren't playing him. Same thing, they weren't playing him on country or rock radio. I think the record probably did well, or well enough. I don't know, but I remember just thinking, this is a fucking killer record. I'll bet there's a lot of basically, I thought what I was saying before. I'll bet there's a lot of country shit that I used to listen to when I was younger that I'd probably understand even more now, because that's another thing people don't realize is I think rock and roll is more, I understand it's changing, but that's a real, young man's game in a lot of ways. But a lot of the great country guys, late 30s, 40s is when they because to sing songs like that, you got to have lived that shit.
That's an interesting thing, and Steve Earle actually says that in that interview. He mentioned, he goes, that music, honky tonk music, was not written for teeny boppers.
Totally. Well,
this was adult music.
Exactly. I mean, the Waylon. I mean, he'd been around forever, and he'd done. He fucking played with Buddy Holly.
Right.
And he'd done the kind of same thing with Willie. Both of them, tried to make it in the real. But
yeah.
That killer shit that really sticks with you. I mean, they're 40.
They're like middle-aged men at that point.
Yeah, but you can't
Hitting
make
their
that.
Stride.
You can't make that music
when
at
you're
that
18.
age.
Yeah.
No, and back to me, which it always comes back to me. But that's why I probably didn't get it at 11.
Right.
It wasn't made,
yeah.
And that's the biggest compliment I can make. And there's nothing wrong with teeny bopper music.
Yeah.
But I do listen to a lot of the shit I listened to as a kid, but I'm not supposed to understand that Waylon record when I'm 11. No wonder it took me till I got older to kind of go back to it. I mean, I wasn't 40, but 20 or something. But like, why would it's not made for kids?
Right.
This is, and that's the other thing too. Is someone wrote an article. There's been kind of more articles about me now. I mean, still not anything, but one of the articles was just like, at least this fucker, he probably even called me a fucker. It's like, it's adult music, and it's adult music, instead of these teeny boppers with their dumb metaphors trying to kind of pretend, a metaphor for a dick and a puss,
Right,
and giving it to kids, which I find much more evil than just saying this is a record for adults. And we're talking badass, keep the kids away. I want them to buy it. But that to me is way worse. It's like, this is not made for you. This is music for, it's got bad language. It's rated all, whatever.
Yeah.
It's got the sticker on it and shit. The vinyl doesn't have the sticker.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have that.
Do they still make the sticker?
Yeah, the CD's got the sticker on it.
Oh, nice. That's good to know.
Yeah, so they asked me if I wanted it. I don't think you have to put it on, but they asked me if I wanted the sticker. I'm like, fuck yeah, I want the sticker. I want to cover
put two stickers.
Cover the whole fucking thing with stickers. But yeah, I mean, it's... The as I said, the real fucking crazy part about all this was I didn't think it was gonna get that much. To me, it was just like, I'm just saying shit that I talk about with my friends, and we put, why censor myself and just make the record I want to make, and the people freaking out over it's just still boggling my fucking mind, and I do think it's because they'd never maybe heard it maybe this clean before, well produced, or with this type of music. I mean, as you said, there's a history of this kind of dirty country.
Yeah.
But in this like David Allan Coe's dirty records, those literally used to be sold in the back of biker magazines.
Right.
Like, you couldn't sell them. You couldn't put them anywhere.
Yeah,
you had
yeah.
to go find them.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2016. You can buy my even though I'm complaining about being banned from the chains, you can go on iTunes, go on YouTube, go on Amazon.
Oh,
It's readily available. So maybe that's what's pissing them off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But pissing people
They
off.
haven't figured out a way to shut you down yet, brother.
Well, they're working on it. And they're actually, you'd be surprised. They're making inroads. They're going to figure it out.
Well, thank you so much for coming down here today. I really appreciate it. It's great to have you on.
My pleasure,
on the
man. Like I
podcast.
said, listen to those other podcasts, man. I'm going to listen to some more later, but the fucking, the Merle one made me a little sad, but it's still awesome to have it.
Yeah.
And to listen to it. And it's great to have someone like you, talking to great fucking musicians. It's a cool thing.
Yeah,
I'm happy I did
it's been
it.
a real education.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
cool for you.
Yeah.
I like the good musicians always are trying to keep learning,
Yeah.
So that's why you're doing it, and I'm not.
Standing in the unemployment line, I see this young girl's bush and said it's breakfast time. Security guard.
Oh, yeah, that was Wheeler motherfucking Walker Jr. on this week's Walking the Floor. Make sure you go to WheelerWalkerJr.com to check him out, buy his record, look at his tour dates. I think he's going to be on tour in September and November. You can find him on Twitter at Wheeler Walker Jr., and you can also look up some dude named Ben Hoffman. I don't know who that is, some associate of Wheeler Walker's at The Ben Show on the Twitter. Okay, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week with Jack Ingram. So tune in then. We'll see you next Monday. Adios, amigos.
Kicking ass.
God damn it! Fucking play, motherfucker! Where'd everybody go?